We've spent days sifting through endless tales to bring you the 5 most mind-blowing cold cases that were finally cracked with insane twists. Trust us, the effort was worth it. Welcome back to True Crime Tangles. Get ready to explore each one of them. And don't forget to stick along because every case gets better and more shocking than the last. Number 5. Julie Buskin. Julie Buskin, an Oklahoma University student, worked at the university's golf course. On December 19, 1996, she spent the evening with her friend Ryan James at his grandparents' house. They had dinner, watched a movie, and then Julie left to meet up with more friends, including her roommate Megan. They played Monopoly and exchanged Christmas gifts. Julie even promised to drop Megan off at the airport the next morning, and she did, pulling up at 5:30 a.m. after a night that had turned into an all-nighter. But things turned grim shortly after. Residents at Julie's apartment complex heard a scream, and a 911 call was made. When Ryan James arrived at Julie's apartment for lunch, he found her missing, along with her car. Concerned, he reported her disappearance. Julie's parents, who had come from Arkansas to help her move, arrived at her apartment to find police there, telling them Julie had disappeared. Tragically, 12 hours later, Julie's body was found by a lake 15 miles away, shot execution style, with evidence suggesting she had been assaulted. Near the body, investigators found footprints and a distinctive Nike Air 2 running shoe, size 9, along with a pink leotard with Julie's initials on it that had male DNA. Despite extensive investigations and a $70,000 reward, the case went cold. Julie's phone was missing, but it showed 2 calls made after her death. A month later, a witness reported seeing a car like Julie's near the lake on the night she disappeared. The driver, possibly a college student with long black hair and a muscular build, was never identified, despite media coverage. 4.5 years later, Dennis Sturmer, a female inmate, was considered a suspect, but cleared when DNA didn't match the leotard sample. Then, 6 years after Julie's death, there was a breakthrough. Anthony Castillo Sanchez was arrested for assaulting his girlfriend and had to provide a DNA sample. Investigators noticed he lived near Julie, wore a size 9 Nike running shoe, and had a history with .22 caliber guns, matching the bullet found at the crime scene. His DNA was a match to the sample from the leotard, leading to his conviction in 2006. Sanchez claimed that his father, Glenn Sanchez, was the real culprit. However, the DNA evidence confirmed Anthony's guilt, and he was later executed on September 21, 2023, for his crime. Number 4. Laura Salmon. In 1984, a farmer in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, found 18-year-old Laura Salmon's body in a field. She was a student at Middle Tennessee State University and a Kroger employee. Laura had died from a severe blow to the head, likely from rocks found nearby. During the autopsy, it was discovered that Laura had been intimate with someone shortly before her death. Male DNA was found on a pair of men's jeans at the scene, but the DNA testing back then couldn't make a match. Investigators mapped out Laura's last known movements. On the day of the incident, Laura left work at 1 p.m., and her car, found nearby, had dirt suggesting it had been near the crime scene. Witnesses saw her dancing with an unidentified man at a nightclub the night before. The theory was she met someone at the club and went to Lover's Lane, where she rejected the man, leading to her murder. David Kyle Gilley, Laura's ex-boyfriend known for jealousy and violence, was a suspect but had an alibi and was ruled out. Another potential suspect, John Taylor, matched witness descriptions and had hair samples in Laura's car, but DNA was inconclusive. Years passed with over 100 suspects investigated, but no breakthroughs occurred. Laura's friend Dan Goodwin, who had promised her mother he would help find the perpetrator, became a police officer and revisited the case. Advanced DNA testing and further investigation led to David Gilley. David Gilley was identified by a witness who saw him driving Laura's car on the day her body was found. Blood spatter evidence found on the men's jeans matched the crime scene, and DNA testing confirmed Gilley as the perpetrator. In 2006, he was convicted and received a life sentence, with jealousy believed to be the motive as Gilley couldn't accept Laura moving on after college. How sad is that? Number 3. Southside Strangler. Debbie Ann Dudley Davis, born on July 15, 1952, in Lynchburg, Virginia, worked as an accounts manager for Style Weekly in Richmond and part-time at Walden Bookstore. She loved pop culture, even appearing as an extra in HBO's Finnegan Begin Again, and also worked part-time at Walden Bookstore at Cloverleaf Mall. On September 18, 1987, after a trip to Virginia Beach, she was dropped off at her apartment by her co-worker Deanna Hoff. Sadly, this was the last time Deanna saw Debbie alive. The next morning, Debbie was found strangled in her home, and her car was discovered nearby with the engine running. Just 2 weeks later, neurosurgery resident Susan Elizabeth Helms was found dead in her Richmond home by her husband, Marcel Slag, assaulted and strangled similarly to Debbie. An open jar of Vaseline from a store near Cloverleaf Mall was left at the scene. Then, in November 1987, 15-year-old Diane Cho, a Korean immigrant, was found strangled in her Richmond bedroom. She had feared a man stalking her, whom she had encountered at Cloverleaf Mall. In Arlington County, Sue Tucker, an editor, was found strangled in November 1987, echoing the 1984 murder of attorney Carolyn Ham, for which David Vasquez had been wrongfully convicted. Detective Ray Williams noticed similarities in the crimes, finding a potential link between Debbie and Susan through a check endorsed by both victims from the Walden Bookstore. This led investigators to suspect a serial offender was at large. In 1983 to 1984, Arlington experienced a series of assaults by a knife-wielding man, which stopped after Vasquez's arrest but resumed in Richmond in 1987. With this information, investigators began to suspect Tommy Spencer, who was on parole and had signed out of his halfway house on evenings corresponding with the crimes. Surveillance revealed Spencer's suspicious activities, and a blood sample was taken for a new forensic method called DNA fingerprinting. After a 6-week wait, the DNA results confirmed Spencer's DNA matched that found at the crime scenes. Timothy Spencer was arrested and tried in July 1988, receiving multiple life sentences, marking the first U.S. conviction based on DNA evidence. David Vasquez was found not guilty and let go. On April 27, 1994, Timothy Wilson Spencer was executed, ending the Southside Stranglers' horrific crime spree. Number 2. Catherine Martin. Catherine Louise Martin, known as Kathy, was born on October 25, 1959. She met Mike Odom in high school, and after a brief separation when Mike served time for selling heroin, they married. They had 2 children, Tasha and Sean, and lived in Harris County, Texas. On March 3, 1987, Mike, out of town for work, couldn't reach Kathy. Concerned, he asked a neighbor to check on her and their children. The neighbor found Kathy's 4-year-old daughter, Tasha, severely beaten and unconscious, while 2-month-old Sean was unharmed. Kathy's body was found in the bedroom, brutally beaten, stabbed over 16 times, strangled, and bound with a lamp cord. How horrific! The crime scene suggested Kathy knew her attacker, as there were no signs of forced entry, and her clothes were neatly folded on the floor. Despite appearing emotional and devastated, Mike Odom came under suspicion due to inconsistencies in his story and mysterious stains on his clothing. Later, people started thinking Kathy's sister, Shelley Martin, and her husband, Greg Marquardt, might be involved. Kathy had told a friend Greg had acted inappropriately towards her, and he seemed obsessed with her stomach, which matched the stab wounds. Greg was dodgy when asked about it and had a weak alibi. The estimated time of Kathy's death contradicted the alibis provided by Mike and Greg. A breakthrough came with advanced DNA testing. In 1998, DNA tests showed that Greg Marquardt could have been the perpetrator. Further tests on the electrical cord used to bind Kathy revealed both Kathy's and Greg's DNA, confirming Greg's involvement. On December 18, 2002, Greg Marquardt was arrested for Kathy's murder. In prison, he confessed to an inmate, admitting he was high on heroin during the attack. In 2004, Marquardt pled guilty and was sentenced to 45 years, passing away in 2008 due to liver disease. Despite the sad event, the Martins ended up in a fight with Marquardt over his inheritance from his rich aunt. At first, Shelley was on Marquardt's side, but later made up with her parents and moved to Oklahoma. Frankie Martin reflected on the loss of his daughter Kathy, saying that it doesn't bring her back. He would always remember her, the house she put together, and the things they did. He added that it's always tough to lose a child. Number 1. Rihanna Reason. Raina Lynn. Reason, born on May 6, 1976 in La Porte, Indiana, was a 16-year-old high school student with big dreams of becoming a veterinarian because she loved animals. Along with her schoolwork, she worked 3 jobs, including at an animal hospital, where she cared for dogs and cleaned kennels. On Friday, March 26, 1993, Raina was working a short shift from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the animal hospital. She had plans to spend the evening with her ex-boyfriend, Matt Elser, hoping to work things out. When Matt arrived at 6 p.m. to pick her up, the hospital was closed, the lights were off, and Raina was missing. Worried, Matt went to Raina's home, where her family confirmed she hadn't returned from work. By 10:30 p.m., Raina's family reported her missing to the police. Witnesses saw Raina arguing with 2 men in a sedan resembling her ex-boyfriend, Jason Tibbs's, and his friend, Eric Feldman's car. Raina's car was found the next night near the hospital with its hood up, suggesting car trouble. Her purse, credit cards, and cash were still in the car, ruling out robbery. A man's ring found in the car was identified as belonging to Jason Tibbs, but he claimed to have lost it while working on Raina's car. A significant lead came from Ricky Hammonds, an inmate, who claimed he saw Eric and Jason with a body in the trunk of his sister's car on the night Raina disappeared, later identifying the body as Raina when her picture appeared in the media. Based on this new information, Eric Feldman confessed that he and Jason had picked up Raina outside the animal hospital to convince her to leave Matt. When she resisted, Jason strangled her, and they disposed of her body in a pond, weighed down with logs. Talk about inhumanity. Jason Tibbs was arrested in August 2013 and charged with Raina's murder. During the trial in late 2013, Jason Tibbs was convicted and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Despite his conviction, he maintains his innocence, suggesting Ray McCarty is responsible for Raina's murder. The tragic disappearance and murder of Raina Reason left her family devastated. Though justice was served in her case, her family continues to mourn the loss of their daughter, whose life was tragically cut short at 16 years old. Wow, these cases surely had some unexpected twists. Which of these stories stood out to you the most and why? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.